So back in year 2000, when I was working for BP, and as you know, BP is an international company. At the time, we had about 100,000 employees worldwide. And they had this policy that every year they would select about 1% of the future potential leaders that they could see would come in and fill in a succession plan the leadership positions around the world. And I was fortunate to be selected in that program. So years program, there was about 30 of us on that program. And I had no idea that this was a coaching program. It was just called the Leaders of the Future. And when I started that program, they got us into the room. It was just at the beginning of it. And the head of global HR connected, and we were all sitting there. You know, the facilitators were there. And I'd never forget this, that the gentleman turned around and said, we've been doing this for a number of years, and we know that some of you after this program will leave the company. And I was like, wow, like they've selected us and they think some of us would leave the program. Why would they do that? And it was just a thought in the back of my mind. And I was like, well, I wonder what that's about. And then it just kind of passed, and we started the program. And as I went through this program, now I know it was a coaching program, and lots of questions, lots of powerful questions throughout the program. And part of it was about, what is it that you want? Where do you see yourself as a leader? What's getting in your way as a leader? And as I went through this program, I couldn't answer some of the questions. It was very frustrating for me as I was going through this. And now I know frustration is about transformation. As you feel frustrated, you're about to go transform something. And at that time, it was very annoying. And I went through this program thinking, what is the answer? What is it I want? And the more I went through that program, the more I realized there are more and more reasons why I find myself somewhere else, not in that company, going forward, based on what I thought, what I wanted, and some of my personal values and where I was heading over the next decade or two. I didn't know what it was I wanted to get into. I just started to wonder, is this for me? And it grew and grew and grew. And throughout the program, I got to the feeling that this is becoming very clear for me, that I must look for something else. And when the program finished around 2001, or just after 2001, I worked for the company. I was in Azerbaijan, I know, at the time. It's 2003, early 2003. And I knew, my feeling, my gut, I just knew it's time for change. And I made the call, and I stepped out of the company and started on this path that I wasn't quite sure where it was going to end. And I was well impressed. The maturity of that company, if you can imagine, ICF was formed in 1995. This is year 2000. So they weren't doing this for that long, BP, and they had brought this amazing tool and process into the company because they knew it was going to work, and their experience, they were mature enough to know that the way it's going to work is that you're either going to make a decision, you're here for a decade or two, and you got a plan for it, or you're not, and it's not the place for you, and somewhere else you will grow and benefit, and they will grow and benefit because somebody else will come into that space, and everybody wins. And I to this day, I talk about BP as my, I'm part of BP. I market them. They're a fantastic company, and I think that's an amazing lesson for all organizations to learn. As an exit strategy for their employees, the company can come with you, and I think it's amazing. And what it's done for me, it opened up a platform where I went into my own self-discovery, and eventually I realized I actually want to be a coach. I want to be where those guys were, getting me to decide what is best for me, and make a decision that's absolutely aligned with my values, my strengths, my where I want life to be for me. And that's what I want for every single person at work. So that's the story.